Y'all get ready?
Yes, you get ready.
If you want the latest news in the streets, join us and tune in for the tea. Breaking news with integrity. So tell your friends and your family. It's the Lovelyti TV show, bringing you good tea and good vibes. It's the Lovelyti TV show. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe.
Okay, here we are, Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press, here at the Southern District of New York Courthouse in Lower Manhattan. Today, Tuesday, May 13th, 2025. It's day 2 for real after the jury selection of the U.S. versus Sean Combs trial. Yesterday, we covered it in great detail. The jury selection in which the juror from the UN made it on, despite his claims to have that his office of counterterrorism doesn't work with U.S. law enforcement. It's not credible. But then there were the opening statements, hammering hard, hammering hard. Kenny Garagos did it for the defense, among their 9 lawyers. And she said this is about private personal conduct and that he may be a terrible person, but it's not a federal RICO charge. The government hammered away, saying you're going to hear from Jane, Cassie, Mia, and then the witnesses began. There was first the LAPD officer who went to the 6th floor among the famous kicking incident. And it turns out that he filmed his own version of the security camera footage and preserved it for, he was going to just show his wife, but he preserved it for eternity. Now, the cross-examination of him was done by Brian Steele, who tried to point out various inconsistencies of things that he hadn't put in his written report at the time, but only remembered later while speaking to the prosecutors. It wasn't a bad cross at all. Coming off his young thug work, you know, score 1 for Brian Steele. Now, the next witness was I called him Male Dancer, but his last name was Philip, not with an S. And this is where it got pretty gruesome. Not gruesome. I mean, yes, gruesome. He was invited up and began to perform. But he stopped being able to perform once he saw the violence, he said. He was a kind of a compelling character in a way. Now, the defense chose to have Xavier Donaldson, who I like and know quite well. I mean, I cover him more than these other lawyers because he's on the CJA panel and represents many criminal defendants here in SDNY as appointed counsel. He's taken a kind of his first line of attack was to try to say that the male escort or exotic dancing firm of Mr. Phillip games SEO, so he must be a fraudster. That's not really going far. He didn't finish his cross, and it's going to begin today. And as we're coming up on the courthouse, you're going to see the madness in front. So we'll see what he does. And today is going to be the day of Cassie Ventura. So this is a longer than normal intro, but it's a case that we're covering in great detail. Now,
Hey sippers, I hope you guys are doing good today. So you guys just watched that video from Inner City Press. So today is the big day that Cassie Ventura finally got to go on the stand and tell her story. This is day 1. She's also going to be back tomorrow from what I'm hearing. So I wanted to go ahead and read to you guys everything that was stated during the cross-examination of Cassie Ventura and also one of the male escort workers. But before we get into it, I'm just sharing with you, I'm doing a screen recording, got on my Mother Goose glasses. And so I want you guys to look at this picture of Misa Hilton Brim. Okay, this sad woman is literally here with a walker, a boot on her foot. We all know Diddy didn't do this because he's currently locked up. But let's not forget that, you know, this is the same woman that was literally beat to the point where she had to hide under her car. And she's here supporting Diddy. And y'all can say, well, you know, she's the baby mama and that's Justin's mama and all this other stuff. But this was the same woman hooping and hollering when Justin got that DUI, talking about a fish rots from the head down. Misa is full of shit. And she looks stupid as hell out there in a walker in this condition coming to support somebody like P. Diddy. I'm extremely disappointed in her. So let's go ahead and get started here. Of course, you know, his blonde-headed kook of a mother, who we also believe is a madam. She was there to support her trifling ass son. We're not going to drag the children because they didn't ask to be here, but I will drag the mother and the baby mama. And then here's a picture of Alex Fine, who is Cassie Ventura's husband. He was walking into the courtroom as well, and we'll talk about him in just a moment. So we're going to start from the bottom and work our way up. So it starts by saying male prostitute Daniel Phillip admitted he's only seen Cassie appear to be messed up on drugs or on alcohol one time when he was invited over for a sex session with her. The one time you saw her under any kind of influence or any type of drugs, Mr. Combs said no to any sexual intercourse. Combs' lawyer, Xavier Donaldson, asked Phillip. Correct, Phillip responded, after specifying he'd been summoned for a freak-off with the couple around 6 or 7 times. Prosecutors claimed that Combs' victim was coerced to take drugs for sex marathons. So then before Cassie took the trial, Sean Diddy Combs' lawyer, Tenny Garagos, was asking that Cassie's ex-husband, Alex Fine, be barred from the courtroom because basically Fine could be called as a defense witness, and Mr. Fine had sent several threatening text messages to Combs that he'd like to beat the F out of him. Garagos said there's 3 areas of possible testimony that we might have to call him in our direct case. Now, you guys remember I talked about this over a year and a half ago when Diddy was, trying to poke the bear. And Alex Fine came onto Twitter and said he would fuck Diddy up and that Diddy would eventually pay for, things that he did to Cassie. Alex Fine don't play about his wife. So I can see why the lawyers feel a way about him being there, but he is there to support Cassie first and foremost. So then they go on to talk about the situation with Diddy and Cassie's former best friend, model Carrie Morgan. And so there's some pictures of them, swimming in the water. And so they're saying here, Cassie Ventura's best friend when she met Diddy was a model named Carrie Morgan, at whom he once threw a wooden hanger, giving her a concussion, according to court testimony. Prosecutors introduced photo evidence on Tuesday of the women hugging each other around 2004 when Cassie said she was in New York City modeling shortly before meeting Sean Diddy Combs. She called Morgan my best friend at the time. The pair later had a falling out, allegedly because Ventura didn't support her after Combs attacked her with a hanger. Cassie had acknowledged in her 2023 lawsuit against Combs that she and Morgan were inseparable before the attack in 2018 at Ventura's home. Her suit said that Combs and Morgan got into a fight, during which Combs threw a hanger at Morgan. The incident resulted in a settlement between Combs and Miss Morgan, and Miss Ventura ended up paying Miss Morgan additional funds in an attempt to resolve the dispute between her close friend and her abusive, controlling boyfriend, according to the legal document. The relationship between Miss Ventura and Miss Morgan has been strained since that time. Now, to me, that makes a lot of sense because, again, they were best friends for years. And you watch your man throw a hanger at me and give me a concussion and you're still with him, at that point, I'm going to have to fall back. Just like Tina Turner's friend said, and what's love got to do with it? You ain't got to hit me but one time, Ike. I'm out.
I'm out of here. You ain't got to hit me but once.
Okay? So I agree with Carrie. I'm glad she moved around, got her little bag, and left both of them because I'm not going to take no punches, no hits, no hanger throwing from somebody else's man. So then Cassie comes back and she testifies. And so this is what they're saying here. Cassie told jurors that she eventually didn't have enough time to nurture her music career because of the freak-offs. They became a job. She said she was constantly recovering from sex parties that she had with Sean Combs. That took a big chunk out of her life. There's no space to do anything else but to recover and try to feel normal again. She said she would stay up for days taking drugs, drinking, and having sex with a stranger. The longest ever was 4 days, maybe even more, with on and off breaks. It was significant. And remember, Diddy has been seen on camera bragging about having to give people IVs and, help people medically after his freak-off parties. Then they go on to say Cassie breathed deeply several times as if mustering up strength and keeping her composure while testifying. When she first entered the courtroom, Diddy whipped around in his chair to look at her, and she stared straight ahead. There had not appeared to be any contact between the pair so far, including when Cassie wept and dabbed her eyes with tissue at times, such as when the prosecutor showed an image from the rapper's beatdown of her in the hotel hallway. She started crying again when a photo was shown of her in her younger days with one-time best friend model Carrie Morgan. Diddy didn't have any noticeable reaction to his former girlfriend's testimony against him, only taking notes and passing them to his lawyer. So then they go on to say the jury was shown for a second time the infamous 2016 video depicting Sean Diddy Combs attacking then-girlfriend Cassie in a hallway. As the R&B singer testified, the assaults by him were too many to count. Cassie spoke soft and low soft voice that was barely above a whisper as she narrated what happened to her during the disturbing footage. They go on to say, "How many times had Sean thrown you to the ground like that before?" She says, "Too many to count." Cassie kept her composure, appearing calm as she testified and detailed about the depraved freak-offs that Diddy allegedly forced her to partake in. Cassie told jurors more disgusting details about the freak-offs that she took part in with then-boyfriend, saying he controlled the whole situation. It was his fantasy, she said. He was controlling the whole situation. He was directing it. She said Combs would at times direct her to have sex with multiple male escorts at the same time. Sometimes Sean and the escorts would have intercourse with me. It was just a lot happening at once, she said. At what point would the escorts ejaculate, the prosecutor asked. Usually when it was okay for them, per Sean. Usually when they usually did it on me. And then Sean and I would go to the next room and he would want me to put the semen on his body. Ooh. This is just a disgusting, demonic man. Cassie goes on to tell the jury that she was high on drugs for every freak-off with Sean Combs and that it often made her feel like she was going to vomit. She said that she took drugs like ecstasy or MDMA in particular. She felt sick almost every single time. If she puked or was nauseated, Combs would encourage me to get up and continue with it, Cassie said. Continue on with intercourse even though I felt like vomiting or if I was vomiting. Ventura also revealed that Combs gave her a blue dolphin ecstasy pill. Cassie revealed that she and Sean Combs referred to male escorts as new staff members when having their agent book travel to avoid any suspicion. I definitely reached out to his travel agent, Cassie told the jury. I believe we acted like it was a new employee being interviewed or something. Cassie said this was strategy, so nothing would be speculated about. Cassie testified that one of the male escorts that she and Sean Combs hired went by the nickname The Punisher. We used him a couple times for freak-offs, Cassie said, as she identified 6 escorts whose photos were shown to the jury. Diddy once had an entire blow-up pool filled with bottles of baby oil for hotel freak-offs, insisting that the oil be heated and applied every 5 minutes so his sex show participants would be glistening, Cassie said. Now we see, okay, so now I get why this fucking deviant had bottles and bottles of baby oil. He had to fill up the inflatable pool so that way everybody was slimy and looking like a fresh piece of fried chicken. Diddy is a weirdo, for real, for real. Then they go on to say when he would run out, we would call somebody, staff, or ask the bell desk and give them a tip to go get more. This man was obsessed with baby oil. She said the baby oil stocked in larger size bottles with about 10 in the pool for the romp with the male escort was just as important as everything else. We used quite a bit, she said. It was always heated, then applied to all 3 of their bodies until they were glistening, she said. It was Diddy's preference. If he felt you were too dry, he would let you know you need to be shining. Wow. I can only imagine the infections, the BV that she had to deal with, because you're not supposed to use baby oil as a lubricant. Lubricants are supposed to be water-based, not oil-based. And I can just imagine what her body went through. Constant sex plus being forced to be dripped in baby oil. Sick. Then they go on to talk about Diddy urinating on Cassie. So he's another deviant like his fellow brother, R. Kelly, a.k.a. Mr. Satisfy You. So they're going to say Diddy would urinate on Cassie himself. Sometimes at the same time, he directed a male prostitute to pee on her during their freak-off, she testified Tuesday. Sometimes Sean, he himself, or the escort would urinate on me. Sean urinated at the same time. She said that once when an escort peed into her mouth, oh my gosh, during the humiliating encounters, it was overwhelming. I choked, too much urine in my mouth, laid on a position on the floor, and I couldn't get easily out of it. Cassie said she put her hands up to get him to stop, but nothing happened as per Diddy's directions. This man didn't love her at all. That is so human. Not only was he peeing on her, that is disgusting, but then he would have his male escorts pee on her and pee in her mouth. This is some just demonic, low vibrational. He did not care anything about this woman. Wow. Diddy tasked her with finding the male escorts, which she initially sourced through classified companies like Craigslist and Backpages. She said that she answered ads on Craigslist for male sex workers whom Combs preferred to be black males with large penises. Cassie listed off cities and hotels and aliases she booked rooms under to set up the freak-offs. She told jurors that the drugged-up sex sessions that she and Combs took part in occurred all around the country: New York, Miami, Los Angeles, Atlanta, Las Vegas, as well as abroad in Spain and Turks and Caicos. They would happen at the Bad Boys record founder's home and in hotels, including the Trump and the Germacy Hotel in Manhattan and London Intercontinental, Beverly Hills Hotel in LA. Cassie would book rooms under aliases Jackie Starr, Frank Black, Frank White. As she testified, Combs staff would make sure the rooms were stocked with baby oil, Astroglide, personal lubricant, condoms, Cassie told the jury. Cassie named several members of Diddy's inner circle Tuesday who she had helped set up the freak-off performances, including trusted former chief of staff Christina Coram. Ventura also named some of Combs' trusted assistants during that time they were dating. She named Coram, Neil Dominique, and David James. And you guys remember in some of my old videos, I did a whole breakdown of this lady, Christina Coram, and Diddy thanking her publicly on Twitter. She also was asked to name members of Combs' security detail who monitored her whereabouts. She named D-Rock, Bonds, Uncle Polly, Fahim, Malik. There's lots of people, she responded. When asked later who stocked the hotel rooms during the freak-offs, she responded, assistants and security. Cassie went on to describe how Diddy's demeanor would suddenly change and his eyes would go black when he became violent towards her. He looked like he would just change over, Cassie said. He would become a different person. I wouldn't know what happened. The best way to describe it is his eyes would go black, she told jurors. The version that I was in love with was no longer there. Cassie revealed that her first freak-offs was with a male stripper in Las Vegas that Diddy made her wear a masquerade mask and really high platform shoes for it. I was high. There wasn't too much feeling. I think it was a mixture of dirty and confusion. Like, okay, he's really happy with me. I did something right, she testified. He wanted me to have a nickname for him. He asked me what I called my grandfather, and I said I called him Pop Pop. She said he asked her to call him that. I thought it was weird at the time, but now I think it was just disrespectful. Then Cassie went on to talk about this. She said they were in the middle of one of the coerced sex marathons at one of his Los Angeles homes, but on a break chilling when Damian D-Rock Butler came in and told Combs that Suge Knight, a manslaughter convict, former Death Row record producer, was at Mel's Drive-In Diner. Combs quickly packed up and drove down there. I was crying. I was screaming, please don't do anything stupid, she testified. I was just really nervous for them, what it meant, what they were going to do. Diddy's staff would take away Cassie's belongings if he disapproved of her, she told the court, and asked if there was anything else besides snatching her car keys and kicking her out of the apartment that he would take away. Cassie replied, my self-confidence. Cassie told the jury one time she was handed a gun by one of Sean Diddy Combs' security guards as they were going into a club in downtown Los Angeles while she was high on mushrooms. I was freaking out the whole time that it was going to go off. She said that she had the firearm in her bag for an hour and a half. All the while, she was terrified. I have no idea why I had a loaded gun, she said, noting that she did not know how to use one. Combs kept handguns in safes all around his home. The guns were taken out here and there, she said. I always felt like it was a bit of a scare tactic. Let's also not forget what was said, that J-Lo is the one who walked in with the gun the night that Natasha Rubens was pop out in the face and Shine, got into that shootout at that club in Manhattan. So, this is Diddy's MO. Then she goes on to say, Diddy controlled even the smallest details of her appearance because I had to look a certain way for the freak-offs. For example, her nails needed to be painted white or French tips, and she needed to be tanned, she testified. In general, the Bad Boy record founder constantly commented on her looks and tried to curate how she appeared. He would say anything from, I look too Mexican with my hair like that, I needed to have my nails done a certain ways. Appearance was very important to him, my appearance. Combs would tell her to work out and keep her body in shape. They even discussed her getting breast implants, she testified. Let's also not forget that Janice Combs' weird ass also wears white nail polish, along with Coercion. When she got with Diddy, the crazy, colorful, wild nails that most, girls like to have disappeared. Coercion would be having white nails as well. All right, so that was day one of the trial. So, of course, everybody on social media is talking about this. And one person who's talking about this, who definitely feels a way about the situation, is Boosie Badass. So this is what Lil Boosie had to say. He said she liked the piss in her mouth. I don't see any crimes that he's done. Everything was consensual. She enjoyed the sex, the thrills, the gifts after. I see no crime but domestic violence in this case. Shake my head. But they left. I think he meant they let Hugh Hefner do whatever. 100. Sad. If he was black, he would have been in prison. Let's keep it 1,000. It's crazy how sex parties become crimes. Shaking my head. Then Boosie goes on to say, if anything, this should be a domestic abuse case, not a sex trafficking case. She enjoyed the wild sex parties and the extravagant gifts on the back end. All of these years of sex parties, and you mean to tell me she didn't enjoy it? I'm convinced she enjoyed it. I'm pretty sure she came during those freak-offs. It was a lifestyle. This was consensual. She was his girlfriend. Trying to give someone life in prison for this is bullshit. I'm going to say this about Lil Boosie. He might want to simmer down before all his tea gets spilled and he ends up being the next celebrity rapper in some type of RICO for all his freaky shit. Because let's not forget, you were paying prostitutes to sleep with your underage son. So he might want to simmer down and stop being so loud and opinionated about some shit that he allegedly doesn't have anything to do with. Because the thing is, what he needs to understand is this girl got with Diddy. He got with her when she was very young and naive, 22 years old. And he helped to groom her. He groomed her and he normalized this behavior to her. And at some point, she finally woke up. But imagine if this was being done to Diddy's twins. You think he'd be okay if some grown-ass man was slinging dick to his twins and having them strung out on ecstasy and pimping them out and having men run trains on his twins? I think not. These same sexual deviants are always very overprotective of their daughters, but somehow have no respect, no care, no concern for another man and woman's daughter. So Boosie might want to simmer the fuck down and get his medical situation in order and stop worrying about Diddy's innocence. Child, this whole situation is sad. It's extremely disturbing, but that was what was reported today. So tea sippers, I want to hear from you guys. I look forward to seeing y'all's comments down below. Let me know your thoughts on this entire situation concerning Cassie's testimony, what she had to say during the trial. Do you believe her? Do you stand with her? Or do you feel like, she was a willing participant? And then how do you feel about what Boosie had to say about the situation as well? So let's go ahead and get the discussion popping. Don't forget to hit the video with a like because I have to do a whole bunch of reading. Feel free to share this video. Most importantly, make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. And I'll talk to y'all later. Enjoy the rest of your day. Deuces.
If you want the latest news in the streets, join us and tune in for the tea. Breaking news with integrity. So tell your friends and your family. It's the Lovelyti TV show, bringing you good tea and good vibes. It's the Lovelyti TV show. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe.